Welcome, children. Take out your history book. Chapter 11, Revolt of 1857. Today's topic, Jhansi, Central India. Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi led the uprising in Central India. She was a brave and skillful warrior. Now, who was Rani Lakshmibai? She was a very brave and skillful warrior. She had led the uprising revolt of 1857 in Central India. The battle started on 3rd June 1858. Tatya Tope joined Rani Lakshmibai. Now, this battle, that means the revolt of 1857, is started. First war of independence is started on 3rd of June 1858, and Tatya Tope, he had joined Rani Lakshmibai. She fought fearlessly, but was defeated by the English troop. Now, Rani Lakshmibai, she fought bravely, and she was even very fearless. But she was defeated by the English troop. The British force captured the fort of Jhansi. She fled to Kalpi and seized Gwalior fort. Now, British force, they have captured the fort of Jhansi, and Rani Lakshmibai, she fled to Kalpi and seized the Gwalior fort. Rani Lakshmibai died fighting on the battlefield on 18 June 1850. Now Rani Lakshmibai, she died fighting on the battlefield on 18th of June 1858. Tatya Tope was captured and sentenced to death after the death of Rani Lakshmibai. Tatya Tope, he was also captured and he was sentenced to death. Now, suppression of the revolt. The revolt shook the foundation of the British rule in India. Now, this revolt shook the foundation of British rule in India. The Governor-General, Lord Canning, mobilized all his forces and placed the troops under his best commanders. Now, the Governor-General, who was the Governor-General during that time? Lord Canning. He had mobilized all the forces and placed the troops under his best commanders. Fierce battle was fought in the ridge, Chandni Chowk, Kashmiri Gate, and Red Fort in Delhi. Now, fierce battle, it was fought. Where it was fought? Fierce battle was fought with the troops under the fierce battle was fought in ridge, Chandni Chowk, Kashmiri Gate, and Red Fort in Delhi. Nana Sahib and Begum Hazrat Mahal escaped to Nepal. Now, Nana Sahib and Begum Hazrat Mahal, they fled to Nepal. Tatya Tope was captured and executed in 1858. Now, in 1858, Tatya Tope, he was captured and even executed. Bahadur Shah Zafar too was captured and exiled in Rangoon in Burma, now Myanmar. Now, Bahadur Shah Zafar too, he was captured and he was exiled in Rangoon, that is in Burma. Presently, it is called Myanmar. The revolt princess, two sons and one grandson of the Mughal Empire. The royal princess, that was two sons and even one grandson of the Mughal Emperor, were shot down, and their bodies were displayed on the stage. Now they were shot down and even their bodies, they were displayed on the stage. The great Mughal Empire had come to an end. Now the great Mughal Empire, what happened? It came to an end. It shook the British a year and a half to suppress the first popular rebellion. It took the British a year and a half to suppress the first popular rebellion. Now, consequences of the revolt. Now, what were the results of this revolt? After a year and a half, the British regained control over his territory. Now, near about 1.5 years, the British, they have regained all the control of his territory. The uprising led to several changes in the British. Now, due to this uprising, it led many changes were seen in the British policy. In the year 1858, the British Parliament passed a new act under which the power of the East India Company shifted to the British Crown to prevent any more revolts in the future and to ensure more responsible management to the Indian affair. Now, in 1858, what happened? The British Parliament, they have passed a new act under which the power of this East India Company, it was shifted to the British Crown, because they wanted to prevent any more the revolts in the future and even wanted to ensure more responsible management to the Indian affairs. A member of the British cabinet was appointed as the Secretary of the State for the India. Now, one member of British cabinet was appointed as the Secretary of the State, that is for the Indian affairs. he was answerable to the British Parliament. Even he was answerable to the British Parliament and was given a council called Indian Council to advise him. And he was even given a council which was called the Indian Council to advise him. The Governor General of India was henceforth known as the Viceroy and was a personal representative of the country. Now, Governor General, who was he? He was known as a Viceroy and he was a personal representative of the Crown. This measure indicated that the British governor accepted the responsibility of India by bringing it under the direct rule of the British Parliament and the Queen of Britain. Now, the measures taken by the British indicated that the British government they have accepted all the responsibilities of the India by bringing it under the direct control of the British Parliament and even the Queen of Britain. Queen Victoria issued a proclamation that assured the Indian princess that no further annexation would take place. Now, Queen Victoria, she had issued a proclamation stating that and assured that the Indian princess they had no further annexation would take place. The doctrine of lapse was abolished and the adopted sons could inherit property. Now, they have abolished the doctrine of lapse and the adopted sons they were allowed to inherit property provided that they accept British paramountcy. Just they have to accept the British paramountcy. The British government made policies to protect the traditional rights of the landlord. Now, British government, what they did, they made some policies because they wanted to protect the traditional rights of landlords and jamindar. The government even decided to rest all customs, religious and social practices of the people of India. The government, even they wanted to, when they decided that they would respect all customs, religious and even the social practices of the people of India. The number of Indian soldiers in the army was reduced and the number of English soldiers increased. Now, number of Indian soldiers they had in the army they got reduced and even the number of English soldiers they were increased. The British government decided to recruit more soldiers from the Gurkha, Sikh and Pathan communities and they had not joined the revolt. Now, the British government, what they have decided? They have decided that they would recruit more soldiers, that is from the Gurkha, Sikh and Pathan communities as they had not joined the revolt. Strategic military positions were assigned only to the English. Now, strategic military positions they were assigned only to the English soldier. The properties of the Muslims were impounded as they were accused of starting the rebellion. Now, the properties of Muslims they were impounded because they were accused of starting the rebellion. They were treated with suspicion and hostility, and they were even treated with suspicion and hostility. Thus began the British policy of divide and rule to prevent Indians from uniting again. And so, in this way, British divide and rule policy started. This policy prevented Indians from ever uniting again. The revolt of 1857 was suppressed but became a landmark of the history of India. Now, this revolt of 1857, what happened? It got suppressed but it became a landmark in the history of India. The revolt encouraged Indians to fight against the oppressive regime of the British. Now, this revolt, it had encouraged the Indians to fight against the oppressive regime of the British. This inspiration led the path for the national movement, and this inspiration even led the path for the national movement. Now, nature of the revolt. What was the nature of the revolt? The British decided the revolt of 1857 as a mutiny, and it started with the use of the greased cartridges and the rifles. Now, British, they have described this revolt of 87 as the mutiny, and they have started this revolt with the use of greased cartridges in the rifles. Indian historians rejected this description and have described the uprising of the first war of independence. Now, Indian historians, they have rejected this description and they have described this uprising as the First War of Independence. They felt that the Great Revolt of 1857 cannot be confined to a narrow and isolated mutiny on account of the following reason. Now, according to Indian historians, they felt that the Great Revolt of 1857, it cannot be confined in a very narrow or isolated mutiny on account of the following reason. The Sepoys established a symbol of Hindu-Muslim unity by electing Bahadur Shah Zafar as the Emperor of India. Now, Sepoys, what they have done? They have established one symbol of Hindu-Muslim unity because they have elected Bahadur Shah Zafar as the Emperor of India. There was a strong sense of unity among the Hindus and the Muslims as they fight together against a common enemy. Now, there was even a strong sense of unity, that is among the Hindus and the Muslims, because they used to fight together against a common enemy. The revolt gave an opportunity to unite people of all classes to unite against the British. Now, revolt, what they gave? They gave an opportunities to unite the people of all the classes to unite against the British rule. So it had widespread popular support, and so what happened? It had very widespread popular support. The people who joined the revolt had different motives behind their participation, but they all opposed the British and were determined to overthrow them. Now, British, the people who had joined this revolt of 1857, they were different. They all have different motives behind their participation. They all opposed the British and they have determined to overthrow them. The revolt was not limited to the sepoys alone. Many sections and classes of the people were affected by the British policy who participated in their revolt. Now, British, it was not only limited to the sepoys, but many sections and classes of the people, they were affected by these British policies, also participated in the revolt. In conclusion, the uprising was not just a mutiny, but the last section was killed, uprising that involved many sections. Now, in conclusion, this uprising was not just a mutiny, but the large scale, the uprising, it was involved many sections. It has involved many sections of the society, and it was fighting against the unjust foreign rule. There was underlying desire for freedom from the British rule, and they had underlying desire to free themselves from the British rule. Thus, the revolt of 1857 was India's first step towards freedom, and so the revolt of 1857, it was India's first step towards the freedom. Now, take out your diary, write chapter 11, Revolt of 1857, explain, homework, revise it. And with this, I am ending my today's class. Goodbye.